Okay, what's up, everybody? I guess you're wondering why I called you all here today. And first things first, I want to thank all of my subscribers, everybody that's liked, shared, anything on my videos. And as a lot of you know, some of them are personal. My drumming and my drums, cymbals, my fascination with drumming for the last year. And a lot of them are just music videos of local bands, big supporter of local bands, and live concerts. So hopefully this finds the right people. I often think about dividing my channel into two different channels because they really are kind of different but kind of the same. It's all music. So the reason for this video is this past Monday, the Monday before, either one, it's been a year since I started playing drums, and I learned a lot and messed up a lot. And what I wanted to kind of talk about was what I learned in my first year playing drums. And maybe there's a beginner out there that maybe an older beginner like me, maybe with a little physical difficulty like I have, that this will really help. So I took my first lesson last week. I have my second lesson tomorrow. A guy named John O'Reilly. He's played with Blue Oyster Cult and Zach Wild and all these big names. Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He was their touring drummer for years. So great instructor so far. I'm very happy. And I learned very quickly that I can't play a paradiddle to save my life. But I learned a lot of what not to do. And I think that's more important than what I actually learned. I could probably, play a couple songs and get them 95% right. And I'm very proud of that. I'm very happy about that. I mean, that's what the joy of this is to me, is to be able to play the music that I love. And I came to realize that I made a lot of mistakes. And here's the biggest thing that I learned. And I learned it last week when he said to play like this. And then we went into double strokes and then paradiddle. He had me play some stuff first and everything, but we went to the practice pad and just went slow. And I've been hearing it, but I haven't been listening to Steven's Drum Shed, Drumeo, and a million other people on YouTube that give drum lessons on, go slow and then the speed will come. In fact, Steven from Steven's Drum Shed, Drum Better Daily, he says that, you never teach a toddler to run, you teach them to walk. And that starts off slow and you make your steps, but they'll figure out how to run on their own. Then you can't freaking stop them, believe me. But it really is a thing. And so I practiced for a week on the pad at night in the bedroom while I'm watching TV with my wife, driving me absolutely crazy. But I'm hitting soft and I'm hitting slow, just real slow and easy, real slow and easy. And I came out and played yesterday, and all of a sudden, that was a really bad example, but it's much more fluid than it was a week ago. And all of a sudden, those double strokes make more sense. That's major. Had I picked up on that 11 months ago, I'd probably be a much, much better drummer today than I was then. Anybody that doesn't know me, that's getting to know me, subscribe. You'll get to know me better. And they go in a lot of different directions all the time. But I have a physical limitation. I had an accident where I got cut from here to here. I'm not going to bore you with all the gory details. Don't mind the poison ivy. But I have no strength in these fingers. I can't grip anything. And I have no feeling whatsoever. I could pick up a hot coal. It doesn't matter. So gripping a drumstick was a problem. And I tried everything. I tried all these different things. You see how I pick up things with these two fingers work. All of them can be manipulated, but they have no strength. These two still have some strength. But I used things like this. I used things like this to keep it on my finger and give me a little bit of a fulcrum. There's no control. So I was looking for some drumstick tape, and I used to tape all my drumsticks with drumstick tape, and I was just about out. I went to go order some more. I'm like, man, this stuff is expensive. You know, I mean, for what it is. Really, what it is a thin layer of like a self-adhesive bandage. You know, it adheres to itself. So I went in the medicine cabinet and I grabbed some, you know, disposable ace bandage stuff, like the self-adhesive stuff. I was taping it at the ends. Now I'm not even doing that. I'm just wrapping it around the sticks. Anywhere where I'll be gripping it. And that I only discovered about a month ago, and all of a sudden I'm holding a stick in my left hand without anything holding it in. I still can't control where it is because I can't feel it. So I'm more or less holding it, just kind of keeping it in between there. I can't grip it with any strength, but I can lock the fingers together and keep them in there, and then really hold it with these last two fingers, which now has something pretty good to grip. Better than the drummer's tape. I think it's the attack stuff, which is good stuff, but this is a little tackier. So, and my instructor said that that's what they used to use before drummer's tape was around, if you had to play in the rain or something like that. So I learned something there, but I fell across most of my things on my own, teaching myself, because nobody was here to show me how to set up a drum set or anything else. So, see what I mean? I go way off in different topics, but the point is, all of a sudden, the last month or so, I'm playing with the stick in my left hand, and this is huge. But it still goes back to the practice pad. I should have grabbed the practice pad before I sat down. But playing a practice pad for me was always difficult. And I got bored very easily with it, especially when he says, you know, go slow, go, you know. That drove me out of the mind. I was bored out of my freaking mind. I get bored really easy. Anybody who's ever seen all the videos I've done on my drum setups, I've done so many different configurations, knows I must get bored. It's shit really easy. And I like tinkering with the drums as much as I like playing. And I've grown to love drum flipping really too, because I kind of like fixing them up and making them look like new. But that was the biggest thing I've learned, is to really slow down. If I had it to do all over again, and I made myself do what I was supposed to do from day one, I would have gotten, if I knew I was going to start playing drums, because I didn't know I was going to start, but I would have gotten a practice pad from day one, and probably nothing else. Instead of spending thousands and thousands of dollars on drums and cymbals, because you know what, it's not the bow, it's not the arrow, it's the archery. And I thought a lot of things I bought would fix my problems, so some of them helped. And sure, Maple kit sure sounds better than the Rockstar kit that I started out with the power toms that were hitting them up here. Nothing wrong with those kits. I love them for certain sounds, but same with the cheap cymbals I started with. They annoyed me. wasn't that I needed better cymbals. It wasn't that this is going to make me play better than the I forget what brand it was my first ride cymbal, and then the second kit I bought, it was B8 Pros, Sabian B8 Pros. There's nothing wrong with them. I know people that make them sound really good, but the sound annoyed me, so I just didn't like it. So that didn't make me want to play the drums. So there is reasons to invest in things, and if I was to advise anybody on what to buy, I would say start with practice pad. It might give you an idea if this is what you really want to do, and just work on the stick control book, famous book. You can find that really easy. Google it, or just look up a video on rudiments and start with like single stroke roll, double stroke roll. In fact, I got a bunch of videos from Louis Belson on my channel, and he covers everything with the paradiddle. He covers, and I think the most important ones are really the single stroke roll, the double stroke roll, the paradiddle. Baby triplets. That's really bad first one, but those are the basics. Just start with those, and get a snare. And if you think you're really going to stick with it, and you have a few bucks, buy a decent snare. Don't buy a piece of crap snare. I'm not going to recommend what one to buy. This one, I've been searching for this one for a while. This is a Ludwig Superphonic LM402. I thought when I bought it from an auction, I saw the Keystone badge and I thought it was the 60s. I was like, yeah, but it's not. It's an 80s, but I don't care. But this is the bottom snare, 6.5 deep, it's 14 wide. You don't need that to start with. But look for something used. You'll probably get much more value buying a used snare than you will going to the music store and buying a brand new one. But get a snare, get a good snare stand. If you go and buy a drum kit, whether you buy it used from the music store, online, or brand new, it doesn't matter. Some of them will and some of them won't come with snares. The ones that come with snares, if you're buying an entry to mid-level, you're probably not going to get the greatest snare to begin with. So I would suggest get a snare, and then when you go buy your kit, just look for a shell kit. So to the next step: bass drum, rack tom, floor tom. Most kits are 5-piece kits. This is configured as a 4. I have a 7-piece kit of this. I don't have the 8 on there, the 10 on there, or the 14 on there. And believe me, a lot of times I have them all up there plus some. But I play better on a 4-piece kit. My Yamaha kit, it's a bebop kit, 18-inch bass drum, great starter kit. There's a starter shell kit that doesn't come with a snare, but I got it for $500 on sale. Clearwater, all birch shells. I would recommend that any day. It's got a 12-inch rack tom, 14-inch floor tom, 18-inch bass drum, and it's a lot of fun to play. And depending on what type of music you want to play, it may or may not suit you down the road, but it's a great practice kit regardless. And early on, people say, I'll just play with a 4-piece kit, you got too much stuff, you got too many distractions. So I cut it down to a 4-piece. 4-piece kit plus a side snare. It's me. But I still have a lot of cymbals. Too many cymbals. I have 2 sets of hi-hats. 2 sets of hi-hats because I want to be able to play conventional crossed over and open-handed. It's much easier for me that way. But when I go to my music teachers, he's got them set up like this, like standard setup. So I would suggest, even if you buy a 5-piece kit, new, used, whatever, don't put the other rack tom on right away. Give it some time. I was reading on one of the drummers forums one day, there was a guy saying if you can't make it work with nothing more than a snare, a floor tom, and a bass drum, you need to go back and practice. And he was saying you don't even need a rack tom. I don't know rack tom, but maybe that's a little bit too much. But there's been times I've actually stripped it down to where I had nothing but a ride cymbal, hi-hats, bass drum, and a snare, and tried to be musical in that. And then all of a sudden you start realizing like there's a lot of different sounds from one drum that you can get, depending how hard you hit it, where you hit it. You start learning dynamics and things like that. It makes you a much better drummer. But again, this is just a non-pro, but somebody who lives and breathes this stuff and watches videos constantly and goes and sees live performances. And I talk to drummers all the time, and I know what I'm saying. A lot of them would agree with. Nobody's going to agree with everything, but again, this is what I learned my first year and what I would suggest to a starting drummer nowadays. And so you back to drums, selecting drums when you go to buy drums. You could make a really inexpensive drum kit sound really good. Most of the sound you're getting from your drum is the heads. You might not get that same tone from a CB700 kit, let's say, or a 1970s Pearl Power Tom that's, instead of 12 by 9, 12 by 8 is, I think, even nicer, but, the rack toms back then might be 12 by 12. They're huge power toms, tons of attack, and they sound much different. But regardless of all that, it's the heads. And I like the sound of these heads, but I like the sound of other heads too. This is the reason I have an Emperor black suede on here is because I just got this snare, and I had to order a white coated Emperor to go on here, which is the right Bonham drum head, and I want it to sound like Bonham's drum. But and this happens to be an Aquarian, but I tend to like Evans heads. These are actually DW, which are made by Remos. When I first got this PDP kit, they came with similar heads, which were just factory heads, and I liked the openness of single ply. I've got a ring on that. Oh boy, that's out of tune. I'm supposed to show you what the studio ring hides. Now I got this thing stuck down there. Okay, I feel stupid. See, I can't grab anything with my left hand. So I keep these things around all the time. You really gotta tune that tone. Not now. So, anyway, you can make, and you're gonna see this, read this, hear this, watch this everywhere. You can make even crappy drums sound really good with good heads and good tuning. Tuning's a whole other topic. It's going to be a learning curve. I'm still certainly learning that. You can't make cheap cymbals sound good. You just can't. So I would also invest in, I would look in the used market if you don't want to spend the money on brand new cymbals. I happen to play mostly Saluda. I'm not endorsed by them. Nobody's going to endorse me. I just like them. I like their customer service, and I call them up and say, hey, I want a cymbal that sounds like this, and they make it. So most of these are Saluda, but I could put my camera over there, and I got a bunch of Zildjians, I got some Miles, I got a few Paistes. I don't have enough Paistes. I happen to really like a lot of Paiste stuff. Zildjian is always going to be a good cymbal. Sabian's always going to be a good cymbal. When I say always, I'm saying when you buy their better stuff. Most companies make a line of inexpensive cymbals, and I would avoid those. There's a time and a place for B8 cymbals, which is the cheaper bronze. It's got 8% instead of 20% tin, I believe it is. Heisty knows how to make a freaking B8 cymbal sound great. But generally speaking, they're not going to sound as good and as musical as a B20 cymbal sound. So, and then there's a time and place for everything too. Different cymbals for different sounds. I have a 13-inch bell over here out of camera. You can't see that. It looks like a 13-inch hi-hat, but it's actually a really heavy bell. That's not something you need. You need a good set of hi-hats, a really good ride. To me, that's kind of more important than the hi-hats, even though depending what type of music you're playing, you're probably going to play your hi-hats more. And really just one decent crash. 2, if you have the money, and if you have the money again, air splash. But later on, you can get a China. If you play a lot of metal, you're probably going to want one sooner, but it's going to be a while before you play any metal. So invest your money in a good snare and good cymbals and an okay kit. You could always upgrade the kit later. Even those good heads you put on there, you could take off and put them on the other kit you buy. If you buy a used kit and heads aren't that great, if you don't like the kit. Or like my Yamaha kit, they came with Remo UTs or something. It's their Chinese-made Remos. They're not bad. I still have one. I still have them on the Rezos, but I bought the Evans 56. I forget what they call them. The real tone or real calf tones. Sorry, Evans calf tones. I have them on my Bob kit. I like them. They're really open sounding, which is what you want for that kind of a drum. I would never put them on this kit. Maybe on the snare, but not this snare. But you could always take your good heads off of an intermediate kit that you buy when you level up if they're still decent. I found myself several times upgrading kits, and my wife thought I was going to buy a new drum set every 2 weeks, and probably did. But I told her when I got to this one that I was going to be happy for a while. This is a PDP kit. It's a LX series. They made CX, LX, and MX in Encinitas, Mexico, when they first built the Mexico factory and started doing PDP. DW I'm talking about. So DW's confirmed this as well. These shells were actually made by DW in California and then assembled in Mexico. They just have different lugs than the DW had for that time period. I wish they had the DW lugs, but just for cosmetic reasons. I don't find any problem with them any other reasons, but aesthetically I like the DW lugs better. But I love these drums. Are they in perfect condition? No, but they're not bad. And they still shine really good and they still look really good. They're the lacquer finish. LX is lacquer, MX is matte finish, and CX is covered, wrapped. Those are one of the best kept secrets on the used drum market. So if you come across a set of those, get them, especially if they have the 10-lug bass drum and 10-lug snare. The first kit I got was a 5-piece kit, not the 7-piece, and I fell in love with them. But I didn't care too much about the 8. I wanted the 16 because it only had the 14, and I felt like I needed that at low end. So even though the 14s go down really low, I wish I never got rid of it. I truly do. I should have probably just kept that. It had the 10-lug bass drum and the 10-lug snare. The 10-lug bass drum, I think, sounded a little bit better. I don't know if I'd know the difference blindfolded, but I feel like it'd be better to have the extra lugs, unless you tune really low. But the snare was night and day difference. That 10-lug snare was actually a little bigger than the one that came with my PDP kit. The one that came with my PDP kit think is a 4.5 if I remember right, 7-piece. Might be 4. So it's more like a piccolo almost, right on the border. The other one was a 5-inch, and for a maple shell, that thing cracked. I've actually messaged the guy back and asked him if he'd want to trade for my 7-piece. No response. Wonder why. But anyway, I happen to be a big fan of these drums. I think dollar-wise, you just can't do much better. I mean, I bought this kit for $450, I believe it was, for a 7-piece kit, all maple shells. They came with good heads. In fact, that's where this Black Suede Emperor came with. There's all Black Suede Emperors on it that he had. He liked the real dead drum sound. I like it a little more open. But regardless, hi-hat stand, and the basic hardware that you needed. No cymbal stands or anything, but I mean, for $450, you're not getting anything new in maple for anywhere near that. Comparable PDP kit. The 7-piece kit would probably be for the Concept maple, I think right around $1,200 without any hardware. Maybe $1,299. So I think somewhere in that range. So this is a lot of value. And there's also that thing, like, if you're going to eventually gig, yeah, it's nice to bring out, classic green sparkle Lovewood kit and show, look how beautiful my drum kit is. But do you want that thing getting scratched up with some bar or some drum tripping over it or whatever, getting banged up in the back of your car and transported? I wouldn't be afraid to transport this. I'd be careful, but I wouldn't be afraid to transport it. And if I got a scratch on it, I'd be upset, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. So I might not feel that way about a $2,500 DW kit or whatever. So I know a lot of drummers keep one kit to gig with and one kit for their home kit. I don't have the space for that luxury, but I play in a shed. It's 14 by 10. You probably hear the air conditioner going. It is climate controlled. It is insulated. So it's a decent place to play, but I don't have like a full finished basement that I could just fill up with drum kits from one side to the other. Probably would. My wife would never let me, but I probably would do it anyway. So I think I covered drums and cymbals. Sticks are all just personal. You have to kind of find what you like, and I find I change often. I've been playing wood sticks until literally just a couple days ago I decided to go back to my attack sticks, which are they're actually aluminum inside, and they have a vinyl wrap on them, and of course nylon tips. I actually prefer the sound of wood. Playing jazz, I don't play these. I play a really light maple stick. I like a ball end on those. I just want a certain sound for jazz. But these things are great for metal. That's what Tommy Lee plays. And they're great sticks. And what's nice is you can replace this part here, and you can replace these tips. And they have different type of tips. So unless you bend it, and I've yet to bend one, they'll last a long time. They're like $35 a pair, somewhere around their average. But you can buy the sleeves that go over to replace it. Hint, use a blow dryer when you go to change them. And these flew off on me the first few times I put them on. You really got to crank down on them to keep them on. But they're great. And the bottom of them, normally when they're not wrapped, they look like that. Or they could be other colors, but you get the idea. But sticks, yeah, it's very personal. Beginner sets usually a 5A or 5B, and then depending on how hard you hit, how hard you want to hit, or how soft or how delicate, or how much finesse you want to give something, you might switch to something different later. In the beginning, personally, I would use the thickest, heaviest sticks you can handle. Because it's going to develop your hand and your wrist strength, and Then when you go from using the heavy stick to using a lighter stick, you're going to move around a lot faster, a lot easier, and things are just going to come to you a little bit better. You might have to swing a little harder to get the same sound out of it, but which brings me to another thing I learned. I'm not a hard hitter, but for months I just hit. Like, this is going to get a little loud. You're going to lose my voice here probably, but I hit everything the same. Not necessarily hard, but certainly not friggin' soft. And it took me quite a while to develop a little bit of, and you're going to want to learn. Dynamics. Very important. And you could do that on the practice pad all day long. You could be like, you could learn to hit harder and softer, and how much bounce you get, different applications. Learn all these different motor technique, all these different things, but I didn't learn dynamics in the beginning. I only hit one way. And I still find myself, especially if it's something that's a little bit faster than I can really handle, I tend to hit faster means harder, because I'm trying to rush. I'm not relaxed anymore, which leads me to another point. Relax. Good posture. Sit back. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Because if you start out, you don't have a lot of place to go. I mean, if you want to do a solo, you want to start out. A little bit easy and then build up. You want to build up the song. You want to build up the stress. I don't know what the right word is, but you want to build it up and then let it down, and then build it up again and then let it down. You don't usually see Neil Peart. You watch a drum solo with Neil Peart, who's incredibly technical, but he doesn't start out just flailing. Like, I remember in the 80s, I saw Asia with Carl Palmer on the drums. My God, that drum solo. All I remember is how hard he hit now. He was moving around, just hitting everything, and it seemed so crazy. And then I went back and watched a video of him playing. He didn't start out that way. That's the part I remember. But it started out. However it started out. I don't know how it started out. I'm certainly not going to try to play like Carl Palmer, but it probably started out, nice and easy. Moby Dick does not start out wailing away. Get it? Wailing away. I didn't do the whole thing there, but you get the point. Dynamics are important. Not hitting hard are important. That's why I bought a jazz kit. I wanted my shit to I wanted my kit to look like Neil Peart. I wanted it to look like Peter Criss. All these guys I grew up watching that had these huge freaking drum kits. There wasn't a lot of drummers in the bands that I liked. Right? I mean, I really appreciate Ringo Starr now, but I didn't. I just didn't, because he played this little 4-piece kit. I mean, who wants 1 up and 1 down? I want, 6 up and 4 down and cymbals everywhere. But that's not ideal, especially for a beginner. They're fun. They're lots of fun to play. But when I start playing, I'd say I'd go into a descending drum roll and Do I want to start on the 8 or the 10 or the 12? It's like I have so many things to worry about hitting. I didn't know what to hit. So then I got the jazz kit because I wanted to work on my dynamics. Very important in jazz. A lot of ghost notes. I wanted to work on my dynamics. I wanted to work on my independence. Because to me, the idea of playing triplets over here and 4 on the hi-hats at the same time. Sorry, I said that wrong. 4 on the bass drum and 2s on the hi-hat. That just... that seemed like an impossible undertaking to me at the time. So I said, I'm going to learn this. I'm not a jazz drummer, but I play it. I have fun with it. But what I realized when I started playing it was I played better. For one thing, well, it's a 12-inch rack tom, but it's only a 14-inch floor tom, and it's only an 18-inch bass drum, so it's real compact. So it's really easy to get around, and they're even closer in heights than these are. But, and this is important, the floor tom and snare same height, roughly. A little difference is okay, but you want them about the same. I didn't know that. I thought as high as possible, and I wanted my floor tom as high as my rack tom. But I started playing the jazz kit, and I realized like I'm able to get around a lot easier with the jazz kit. And it was because I only had it set up as a 4-piece kit. I actually have a side snare on there, a little 10-inch Pearl M80. It's hung on my hi-hat stand, but I don't play that much. Mostly I just play these. And it was much easier for me to get around. I just found I played freaking better. And I realized it. And that's when I said, okay, I gotta cut my kit down. It's real easy for me to add toms back in here if I want to and have a bigger kit. And I do sometimes. But when I'm practicing, and that's what I came out here to do today before I made this video, I'm practicing usually on a 4-piece kit. I do like side snares. I don't know why. I got a 14-inch marching snare Premier that I'm probably going to make into a snom 4-tom snare, combo snare, tom, snom. Probably going to do that. It would probably go over here. Not sure yet. I just never had a marching snare. Oh my God, that tight. But I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. But I like to experiment a lot. But I do find myself 4-piece, 5-piece kit max. I play my best. The extra cymbals don't seem to get in the way. The reason I have a ride cymbal over here is because I'm constantly wanting to play ambidextrous. I was never able to keep pounding my left hand because of the issues with my hand, but it's getting better. So I try at times. I can't maintain it for any length of time, but it also makes for a great crash, so I keep it there. Let's just go over real quick. Over here, I don't think you can see it. There's a little mini china here. There's a little stack here. 2 splashes. All the way up here. Yeah, it's off camera. And there's actually, I have a Zildjian first stamp signed by the artisan who made it. 1930s little splash, 10-inch splash that I just got. I don't really play yet. It's just kind of sitting there. In fact, it's in such pristine condition, I'm actually afraid to hit it. It's not warped, it's not... Anyway, like I said, I like to flip stuff sometimes. On my right here, I've got, there's a 19-inch crash over here. This is a 17-inch medium thin crash. All the way over here at the top right, there's an 18-inch vented china. I'm not going to hit that hard because it's really brash, really trashy. And down here, can you see that roll? No. There's a 22-inch diamond rod that I love. I love that cymbal. Almost as much as my Green Goddess, which is on my jazz kit. Totally different sound. I wouldn't use that for rock, really. But that's basics of what I play. Over here, I've got a remote hi-hat. There's a 13 on there right now. And over here, I've got, they're both Pearl stands. This is an RH2050, and this is a Redline. I think it's an H2000, if I remember right. So again, so that I'm able to play traditional. That was a really bad transition. I much prefer my hats here. For quite a while, if you guys have ever seen my stuff, I had it set up where my snare was right in the middle, and then my hi-hats, and then my bass drum. It was right in the middle. Really nice that way. I'll still go back to that, I'm sure, at some point, just to play around. But I'm trying something a little different. It's kind of like a 230 position, I would call it, from the snare. And that's because I'm not playing my offset Eclipse pedals, which let me put the snare in the middle. Right now I've got a DW5000 single kick pedal, and I'm not playing double bass right now. If you saw some of my videos 2 months ago maybe, I was working on practicing double bass, and I've really realized that I'm freaking terrible at double bass. And I don't know if it's something I'm ever going to be able to get. I don't know why the video just seemed to stop. Hopefully that's not a problem. But I was saying how I can't really play double bass anymore. No, never could. I may give up on it. I may just say single pedal. Like Nick on McBrain said, it's hard enough to control that. So, jury's still out. I want to be able to play double bass. I want to be able to play, Metallica one that. The day I'd be able to play that would make me very happy. But I just can't play it cleanly. I try and play Paranoid for Black Sabbath, and I can't even play that cleanly. It's not fast. So, maybe later. I'm not giving up on anything. I refuse to give up. Regardless of my disabilities, if you want to call them that. I don't have very severe disabilities compared to some people. I think I'm pretty lucky that I didn't lose my hand with the accident I had. It was cut from here to here. The nerve was cut in half. Never grew back. Then they did a nerve graft, and it still never grew back. Never got any feeling through here. I also have neuropathy in my feet and my hands. I can't feel my feet right now. Like, I can't feel them at all. I just don't feel them. Sometimes I'm walking and I look drunk because I can't tell where the ball of my foot is. It's really hard to explain. It's also really strange unless you have it to explain to somebody how you have no feeling but constant pain. But that affects my pedal playing a lot. Both hi-hat and bass drum. And I have circulation problems, which, since I'm not getting blood flow back to my legs sufficiently, my legs will tire out before most people's. So playing really hard, fast bass drums, not easy. It's also not easy for me to do extended 8 notes on the hi-hats. It just gets very painful very quickly. None of these things are going to stop me from playing drums. I'm going to be 59 in September, a little less than a month away. And I'm not saying I'm dying. I just know, like my friend used to say, who's not with us anymore, I just know I'm closer to the end than I am the beginning. And I'm being realistic. I don't expect to open up in Madison Square Garden in my lifetime, and I don't expect to be in any big crazy band. It'd be nice to be able to sit in with some friends, bands, and play a few songs. Maybe at some point, get in a band, play some classic rock, some basic stuff that isn't crazy hard to play, as in too fast. And that's kind of what I want to achieve. And I'm going to keep trying until I just can't do it anymore. And I love them. I absolutely love them. And until I'm paralyzed or something where I can't pick up a stick, I'm going to keep on playing. But like I said, I learned a lot this first year. Started playing in July 2022. It's August 2nd, 2023 right now. And again, to recap, I just had my first actual in-person drum lesson last week. So I know I have a long way to go, but I think by finally finding somebody that isn't an hour away from me, I'll be able to go and get lessons and keep up with it and progress much faster than I have so far. I love Drumeo. I use it every day. I love Steven's Drum Shed. I love taking stuff on YouTube and watching it and trying to do it. A lot of artists on there that I follow, Rob Beatdown Brown, dude. But it's not the same to play it the way you see it on the screen. I have a screen right there, but I could try and play it, but I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. And it's very hard to know if you're doing it wrong. I video myself a lot and play it back, and I'll think, wow, I nailed that. And then I'll go back and look at it and think, not so much. That's not supposed to be a flat in there. That's supposed to be together, not separate. And it's little things that I pick up on, but I definitely learned a lot. I definitely suggest keeping money in your pockets. That first year is going to be real easy to go out and buy everything. Like I said, start off with a practice pad and a set of sticks. Get a set of 5/8 sticks and a 12 or 14-inch practice pad, or even a 10-inch practice pad, and just do rudiments for a month. Do nothing else, but do it. Like, you don't have to do it for 3 hours a day. You certainly don't have to do it for 3 hours in a row. But developing hands is going to be the first and most important thing. And do 20 minutes, and then take a break. Do 20 minutes. Do it while you watch the TV. Do it. Look, I have a practice pad in my car. I literally will tap on it while I'm at a stoplight, or while I'm waiting for somebody, or waiting for my Starbucks to get me, or while I'm driving. I don't know if I should say this. Is it really an unsafe thing? I don't think so. I will play it with my right hand, along with the music I'm listening to while I'm playing. I just keep the beat. Just keep the beat. Keep that eighth note groove going for rock or whatever. Play some triplets, listen to jazz. I don't do it where I'm going to get an accident or anything, but the point is, I play it as much as I can. Then get a snare, and do the same thing on that snare drum. Don't give up on the pad. Still play the pad, but then play the snare. Start to get a feel of how a snare feels and what you could do with it. It sounds much different if the snare's off, but you can really hear the difference in sound you get at different points in the drum. And this is a Emperor head on here, so it's pretty thick. You don't get quite the same sound that you would, like most snares I'm going to play with Ambassador or Evans G1, something just a little bit thinner, not a 2-ply but a single ply. You get a little bit more response, a little bit more difference, I think, in the sound. These are deadened a little bit more, but you can get really musical with just the snare drum. Listen, when drumming started in this country, when jazz drumming started in this country, they had the bass drum, which was a converted marching bass drum. And usually they had a snare and a floor tom. And then hi-hats came out. There used to be these little cymbals they hit with their feet. If I have the story right, and then somebody made a stand and put them up high, so I called them hi-hats instead of down low. So all of a sudden you have that ability to do that. And then brushes came about. Brushes were like, they were using whisk brooms and crap. Drums have changed a lot since the 30s. They've evolved. But that basic set was used to record some incredible music and to play live some incredible music. And you can do a lot with just a bass drum and a snare and a tom and a set of hi-hats. And ride cymbals were not 24-inch rides, 22-inch rides, even 20-inch rides back then. They didn't call them ride cymbals, they were cymbals. You hit them. And you could do a lot with that, a lot with that. So start off slow, start off easy, and build your kit slow. It's real easy to go out and just say, I want a 5-piece kit with all the hardware, and I want a full set of cymbals. That's great. If you're playing and you have good sound with your snare, and you've got good control of your hands, then move on to that next level and get yourself a decent kit. Because it sounds like at that point you're probably going to stick with it. But again, I wouldn't spend a fortune, not on the first kit. And when I say not a fortune, I mean to some people $100 is a lot of money. You could find your drum kit for $100. It's probably going to cost you that much for good heads. Or you might find a decent drum kit with a lot of stuff included for $300. And hopefully they have decent heads on them already. You don't have to worry about that. But I would plan on, after you have your snare, I would plan on, I would probably say, you know what's a really good snare? I'll tell you what, I still love my Pearl Sensitone. I don't have an aluminum Sensitone or brass. It's a steel Pearl Sensitone snare. And I love the sound of it. That thing cracks, it's loud, it's vibrant, and it's got good sensitivity to it. And I picked that snare up. I don't know why, once again, my recording is stopping. I've never seen it reach maximum time before. Hopefully that first part, hopefully I caught it right away when it stopped, otherwise I have a lot of video I lost. So yeah, this is a long one, guys, and if you're still sticking with me at this point, that's really cool. It's awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to kind of wrap it up here because I think I've said enough, but if you are a new drummer and you came across this video because you're looking for whatever, you found this about that first year drumming, I highly encourage you, send me a message. My email is on my About page on YouTube, and my link tree is on there, I think. You could reach me or just comment and I'll get in touch with you. If you have any questions, if you have any ideas, if you have any comments you guys have about anything I said today, please feel free to jump in and make some comments. Like this video, share this video with somebody that's thinking about taking up drums. And again, I'm not an expert, I'm far from it. I've got a year in. But I guarantee you, for somebody that's only been playing a year, I know a lot. I may not be as technically able as some people that have been playing for a year, but I've had conversations with people that have been playing drums for 20 years, and I knew things about drums they didn't know, because I read everything, I watch everything, I watch documentaries, and I watch history on these things. And again, I still don't consider myself an expert, but I would say at this point, I probably know enough to give advice to somebody who's just thinking about picking up a 6 sticks for the first time. My aunt, yeah, she's my aunt, Jeannie. If by any chance you're watching this, you know who you are. I sent her son, Zach, a snare that I picked up on an auction. I just sent it to him for Christmas last year. It's a student snare. Nothing great. It's something you can get on Amazon for $79. You don't buy one on Amazon. Just like I said, invest in something decent. But I sent it to him so he'd have a snare and a practice pad. And I hear he's doing great. And that's the advice I would give everybody like ABFM. Just get a practice pad and then move to the snare and start out slow and just keep doing movements, work on your hands. And don't start fast. Start slow and movements and keep it slow. Keep it slow and keep it slow. Then maybe once a week, kind of see how fast you can bring it up. Use a metronome. It's a metronome, another mistake I made. Let's see how fast you can get it. Start out at 100 beats per minute on quarter note. So it's that's probably about 100 beats per minute in quarter notes. So start out there. It's actually much slower than that because I'm saying in quarter note divisions on the metronome. I'm not explaining this right. I'm sorry about that. But the point is, you want to start out slow, but then take a while. Once in a while, take a chance once in a while, see how fast you can get it, and mark it down. Put it in your notes, wherever, and then make a note of that and see where you are in 2 weeks, and see where you are in another 2 weeks, and you're going to see that your hand speed is really going to get much faster. You're not going to be playing like that when you're playing drums. But that muscle memory you develop doing that is going to come out faster when you play it later. Thanks everybody. I appreciate the time. And if you're crazy enough to keep watching to this point, I thank you even more. Probably the only one that's still watching at this point is me about an hour from now, but you know, let's just say there's maybe one other person. Thank you to my daughter for that. Alright, thanks everybody again. Like, subscribe, share, and I appreciate every one of you, and I answer all comments.